So my topic is generative linguistic. So it is a broad concept in itself, a school of thought within linguistics, and makes use of the concept of generative grammar. Another one great propounder of this concept is Avram Noam Chomsky. So Noam Chomsky is born on um, December 7, 1928 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. In 1945, he began to study philosophy and linguistics at the University of Pennsylvania. His book, Syntactic Structures in 1957, brought together his linguistics ideas. So, generative grammar. Chomsky's concept of generative grammar implies a finite set of rules that can be applied to generate sentences, at the same time capable of producing infinite numbers of strings from the set rules. A type of grammar which describes a language by giving a set of rules that can be used to produce other possible sentences in that language. So in this concept, Chomsky explained that there are sentences or sentence that um, that can be or that can have a different meanings by the by the set of rules, no. So deep and surface structures, two levels of representation. Deep structures represents syntactic relations. Second is surface structures derive representation of deep structures. Example, um, I can solve this. And what does it the three structures look like? So it um, these two representation is related to active and passive voice. Active to passive voice, no. This is the pattern, the noun, or noun phrase, then auxiliary, the can, or auxiliary verb can. The verb itself is solve, no. Possible surface structure. This is the possible surface structures. This problem I can solve. This is the another structures now from this. I can solve this problem. This problem I can solve. So possible problem for analysis. The categories are not in the correct positions anymore. Example given: solve seems to be intransitive here, though it cannot be. The surface structures, the categories can appear in the position other than expected from the deep structures of a sentence. Which transformational rules are applied to a sentence? Not the structure itself changes, but merely the form of representation. In the tree, constructure of deep structures is still shown by the marker or trace or of trace like this. This problem I can solve. Transformational rules map the deep structures onto surface structures representation. What's it good for? Chomsky, a simple system of a simple system of phrase structure can provide the basis from which all sentences can be derived by simple transformations. Generative grammar to transformational grammar. Humboldt show how language can make infinite use of finite terms. So by Chomsky's deep structures of different language shows considerable similarities. This indicates properties common to all languages. These are concealed by the different surface structures. So this number 3, universal grammar. The system of principles, conditions, and rules that are elements of or properties of all human language. The essence of human language. All human beings share part of their knowledge of language. Speaker knows a set of principles that apply to all languages. Parameters that vary within clearly defined limits from one language to another. So universal grammar is an attempt to integrate grammar, mind, and language. Summarized by Chomsky. What constitutes language? How is such knowledge acquired? How is such knowledge put to use? What are the physical mechanisms that serve as the material basis for this system of knowledge and for this use? Structural or structure dependency. A principle common to all languages asserts that that knowledge of language relies on the structural relationships in the sentence rather than on the sequence of words. So, parameter, language differ. One way in which they differ is in terms of the words they use. Other differences between language also have to be acquired. Parameters select among possible variants like compare to switches. Parameter, example, word order. This is the parameters. The example is word orders like the um, pattern, no, most language use. So the subject verb object pattern or sentence pattern is commonly used in English, no? Next is the subject object and then verb. Sentence pattern is of sentence patterns in Turkish, and then the last is the VSO in Irish. The next one, the the VOS, it is a not commonly used, no. Then this one, no or almost no languages use the OSV because maybe it is a grammatically wrong. Like for example, in SVO sentence pattern, um, the dog smokes cigarette, no? So the dog is the subject, smoke is the verb, then the object is a cigarette. So if we transfer it from the SOV pattern, SOV pattern, it goes like this. Subject is the I, no? The subject is I. We use a another sentence. The the subject is I. The verb is wrote. And then the O is yeah, something. SVO. I write a song, no? Yeah. Basta yung sentence nasa sentence pattern din is yung itong cause I make some research of this two patterns or three, maybe these three patterns, but unfortunately I don't get the result, the result. Maybe it is a very rare, no? So general ideas about language. Chomsky distinguishes between a language or aims to collect. The aims is to collect samples of data, then describe their property. Constructs a grammar to describe the regularities. And the second one is I language, or the concern with what a speaker knows about language and where this knowledge came from. Language is a systematic presented in the mind, brain of a particular individual. Chomsky's first goal to discover what constitutes is an I language aim. Conclusion and discussion. The shift of focus from the the bios concept of an e-language to the significant notion of I language was a crucial step in early generative grammar. Chomsky's theories like universal grammar aim at exploring the mind rather than the environment. The generative approach offers a simple method to analyze and compare highly complex structures and relations of language or languages. Our language is more than just generative theory. So there are the references. Then I will send another video for further information of this topic. And thank you for listening.